Yeah, let's go, part 2. All right, let's jump right into it. You know, I tend to really like aliens. I mean, as long as they don't look like bugs. I don't really like the bug-like ones just because I don't like bugs, but I don't know. If they're aliens, maybe it's a little better. But I do like aliens. Yeah. All right, here we go. Part 2.
Hey all, this is part 2 in a 2-part series on the Warhammer races. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, we do the Imperium of Man. You can check that out in the description, and I would highly recommend you watch that to get context for this episode. If you already have, go ahead and keep on watching. So after an entire episode of nothing but humans, we can now talk about chaos, which involves humans again, but a little bit less. We also got demons and shit.
I just felt someone grab my ass.
What?
Like hard, Nick.
So, as I've mentioned many times before, we've discussed the warp, the immaterium, the hellish landscape, the purgatory dimension
humans
realm
are boring.
between the material realm
Let's talk
of our
about
existence.
demons.
Now, in the warp, it's terrifying, horrible. There are demons everywhere. Things are crazy. All your minds and thoughts and emotions get projected there. It is both formless and empty. It is vast and tiny. It obeys the laws of time and physics while simultaneously does absolutely nothing of the sort. It is a hodgepodge and a culmination of just unknowable, eldritch, horrifying shit. And there are 4
Here we go! The Chaos Demons.
gods that permeate in chaos and the warp. These are the 4 major chaos gods. And if we wish to learn about chaos, we need to learn about each and every single one of these chaos gods. First up, we have Khorne, and he is the easiest. Khorne is your classic Satan. He is all about anger, murder, fighting, blood, guts, death. You ever heard the term blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne? That's Khorne. The whole
dayon for the dayon god.
idea is that he is all about the fury and strength of battle. He doesn't care where blood comes from so long as blood is flowing. He wants to fight and murder and carnage and slaughter and death. That is Khorne. Very simple.
He's having fun.
Next up, you have Tzeentch, and Tzeentch is the god of change. However, the god of change, it's permeates in so many different other ways. He's the most eldritch of all the demon gods. He has this weird way to always be plucking at the strings of the universe. He's always conniving and scheming and doing his best to cause as much little bullshit as he can. Tzeentch is unknowable. Everything that makes sense, he will and won't do. Every future and setting and every type of destiny or fate is all foretold and also changeable. It is set in stone while also completely random. He knows what
he has eyeballs on his hands. I just noticed. The eyes. Tzeentch is the god of trolling. I see. He's also having fun in his own way. Bro, what that tongue do? I don't know if I wanna fuck around and find out.
Everything is going to happen, and also that none of it's going to happen. You would ask Tzeentch a question. That question leads to 3 more questions, and those questions lead to the heat death of the universe, which asks 4 answers to those questions. And then he thinks to himself, what are questions even really? And are you even asking the questions, or are you simply giving paths to answers and other horse shit? Tzeentch is just, I'm gonna fuck with stuff. He is...
Tzeentch is the most Lovecraftian of the 4. Ooh, speaking of Lovecraftian, we did play a Lovecraftian game the other day. More like the god of tomfoolery.
Yes, and he is no. He is the understanding, and he is complexity. He is unknowable. And that's what the god of change is about. Very bizarre. And he likes birds a lot. I don't know why. Next up, we got Papa Nurgle.
Understandable.
Papa Nurgle, he loves you for who you are. Probably not. He will murder you just the same. But Papa Nurgle is about rot, pestilence, death, and decay. He is the end of everything. Him and Tzeentch do not like each other very much because where Tzeentch represents change and adjustment, Nurgle represents stagnation and death. He is all about miasma and pestilence and large bloat and pus and organs and people just being sedentary, sloth. He is the idea that everything will rot and decay and die. Nothing.
I bet you he's very smelly. I like the name Papa Nurgle though. Oh yeah, Grandpa Nurgle. Oh. Man, Warhammer is something I've always wanted to get deeper into. Its lore is so intriguing. Yeah, I'm learning about the lore today. I know nothing about Warhammer. This is my first exposure to it, but we're on part 2 now. Maybe he needs a sponge bath. Maybe he wouldn't want to take a bath. He doesn't look like the type that you would want to. Nurgle loves you, but in the same way that an abusive ex does. He's Santa, basically, if Santa goes around giving everyone the plague. Whoa, gee, thanks. Thanks, Papa Nurgle. Thanks for the gift. Oh my god, I don't want to touch this guy.
Is certain besides decay and death. All of us will end up the same way, and broken down through just sheer never-ending decomposition. So the joke that Nurgle always loves you
Those
is generally
scary.
because of that, because we all end up the same. We all rot, and we all die and wither. That's Nurgle, and he's got a general theme of course, pestilence and different kinds of diseases and sickness and things of that nature. That's generally Nurgle. He's pretty easy to understand as well, and he chunk. Finally, we have the youngest of the Chaos.
The sensors to make it look more yabai. I know it doesn't need sensors, but the fact he just put it on just for like shits and giggles is very funny. I got a sensor too, Bricky. Bricky, you're looking a little bit, a little bit not safe for work there. I'm gonna have to censor you.
Gods, and that is Slaanesh, also known as
Slaanesh.
the Prince of Pleasure or the God of Unspeakable Excess. Slaanesh is generally referred to with sex, but it's not only sex, it's just that
Sex!
that's a good avenue if you want to make stuff. Slaanesh is just the idea of the senses of the body being cranked to not just 11, but more like 17. See, we'll discuss Slaanesh a little bit more when we talk about the Eldar, because they done fucked up, but it, or whatever, is mainly about just the excess of emotions. And therefore, sex is generally a large part of it. However,
Whoa, that tongue is freaky! Jeez! Yeah, this is the Yabai god. Grandpappy Nurgle is arguably the nicest of the Chaos gods, but he gives you disease and decay. But I guess he's giving, he is the god of giving. It's like when a cat gives you a dead rat, true. Oh, I love that art. It's so fucked. Yeah, this is a crazy art.
it's mostly pain and torture. Lots of pain, torture, but sometimes sexually related or drug related. Lots of drugs. Slaanesh gets off on everything. Extremes in happiness, extremes in sadness, extremes in pain and sadism and masochism. And of course that goes...
The BDSM god? Is this what I'm getting? Party time! Yeah, we're partying it up good in here.
Along with the sex part of it as well. It's generally referred to with sex because of the color scheme, very purple, lots of exposed genitalia. A lot of their models have like exposed nipples and stuff. And that is generally the theme you go for from a physical side, but it really embodies everything. Mainly pain and also the excessive amounts of emotion. So when it comes down to it, you'll find a lot of them have things like spikes.
That sounds crazy.
Or any kind of BDSM style gear because it is unspeakable excess. The Prince of Pleasure. Everything in excess to the point where it is just sheer frightening. That is Slaanesh in a nutshell.
That does sound
bizarre
freaky.
And a little hard to describe sometimes, but as we talk more about the Dark Eldar layer in this video, you'll understand it far, far better and far more than you'd want to. Now you might be thinking, why... would anyone ever want to join
Oh, it's a
chaos?
heresy.
They all look horrifying, screwed up, and just frightening things, right? Well, the thing is that, of course, one, your mind is put into the warp and the immaterium, so you can be easily swayed by chaos demons when they get into your head, especially if you're a psyker. Sometimes regiments of the less mentally strong people, whether they be civilians or, say, low-level guardsmen or conscripts, can be easily swayed by this and become chaos cultists and stuff, and they serve their dark gods and whatever god they personally refer.
That's cool.
However, and this might seem strange, chaos in their own right isn't necessarily evil. See, the warp is every manifestation of emotion and being, every soul, everything of existence. This includes
It's
all
kind of like, I feel like it's like the alignment chart. It's like, you know, chaotic good, chaotic neutral, chaotic evil. So just because like there's chaos doesn't mean like you're necessarily evil.
all the good things. All the different chaos gods have another side to their coin. Khorne might be death, murder, slaughter, slaughter, but he's also got this weird sense of survival of the fittest, trial by combat, and honor. Khorne will never lie to you. Khorne will never stab you in the back. Khorne isn't about conniving and scheming. Khorne is about straight up mono, you versus me, get in the ring, we're gonna murder each other hard right now. It may not be a good thing at the end of the day,
just wants
but
blood.
it is that other side of the coin. Him and Tzeentch generally don't get along because Tzeentch is that conniving schemer, but he's also about the idea of hope. Where there is change for your predicament. There is change for your problem. The hope of the galaxy, the ability to bend the world to your will, the idea that your fate is not set in stone, but in reality that you control your own destiny and can control it whenever you want, the changer of ways. That is Tzeentch. And of course, Tzeentch and Nurgle hate each other because while Nurgle does represent stagnation, death, and decay, he also represents finality. An ending. The fact that you can be mentally at peace knowing that you will end and how you will end. Fear of the unknown, fear of change is not present with Nurgle. With Nurgle, everything will rot and die, and that provides that finality, that ability that this is over. We are all the same, and we will all end the same. We know the meaning of life. The meaning of life is to live and die and rot. And with that, it brings peace of mind.
Rot it
Slaanesh
all.
is a lot more simple. While they are the excess of emotion, they are also the representation of emotion. So
Not gonna lie, Slaanesh sounds the scariest so far.
Slaanesh embodies happiness. Slaanesh embodies excitement and joy and pleasure, not only in the sense of the physical, you know, bam style of pleasure, but also everything else like food and drink and air
party
on your cheek and sunlight, the feeling, emotion and feeling. All of that is also represented with Slaanesh. So you have to ask, why are they always represented as super evil skulls and spikes on everything and what
Yeah, this really is like we're getting a philosophy class.
to murder everybody? I don't really got an answer for you on that one. My assumption is that because mentally humans may think worse thoughts even if we don't act on them, and therefore they're projected in the warp more. That one's a little bit weird. I don't know. This is me spitballing right now, but I don't know. You need a super bad guy. You already got the Imperium of Man. You need somebody to be a little bit worse than them. So you got demons. Honestly, who cares? I just want to buy like a bird magician. Look at him.
Whoa! He's colorful. I couldn't even tell that was a bird. He kind of looks like a reptilian, but also I guess birds and reptiles are kind of related. He's got two heads? Yeah. Interesting. Demons get to have fun with colors. Yeah. I like colorful. I kind of like that. Yeah. Yeah, birds are just small flying dinosaurs. Yeah. That's what they are. A lot of the other gods relate to death, but there's worse things than that, and then there's Slaanesh.
So cool. So combining all this together on the
you for the
tabletop,
follow.
chaos demons are generally very melee-based. They run in, go really hard. You have lots of summoning and conjuring, tons of spells. Generally a little bit frail, but they have special saves to make them a little bit stronger. You've got giant demons and smaller demons. You got hordes of little boys and tons of big guys. Demons are as they seem. Demons. Nurgle is slow, Khorne is super scary in melee, you've got Tzeentch, who are far more into psychers and spellcasting, and then Slaanesh, who is all melee, really,
Oh my
really,
God.
really fast, but
The
squishy,
whips.
but in lots of hordes
The
of
whips,
tons
though.
of melee and pain damage, of course. So overall, the demons are a huge part of 40k and a massive threat to almost every single faction, with the exception of
I want to see the kits again. Yeah. You know, the Nurgles,
demons and smaller.
yeah,
Probably a little bit frail, but they have special saves to make them a little bit stronger. You've got giant demons and smaller demons. You got hordes
yeah, they look, I like how they look.
of little boys and tons of big guys. Demons are as they seem. Demons. Nurgle is slow, Khorne is super scary in melee, you've got Tzeentch, who are far more into psychers and spellcasting, and then Slaanesh, who is all melee, really, really, really fast, but squishy, but
Yeah, I might like Nurgles, maybe. Yeah, army.
in lots of hordes of tons of melee and pain damage.
Not
of
'cause
course.
they're, like, green.
So overall,
I
the
don't know.
demons are a huge part of 40k.
They just look big and
a
cuddly.
massive threat to almost every single faction, with the exception of a couple. However, the big part about demons is also transferred into the other 9 Primarchs we didn't talk about, which are the Chaos Space Marines.
Oh,
So Horse and all of his boys, all of them in the Primarchs, they
Metroid
have
Prime.
all also become Chaos Boys, and they all have their own special Chaos Legion.
yeah, the Nurglings just want to give you hugs and gifts. Yeah, you know what? I'm kind of seeing that now.
Specializing in so many different things, just like the Adeptus Astartes, the Angels of Death, the regular Space Marines. Chaos Space Marines aren't a whole lot different than the regular Space Marines. They have the same armor, generally the same training and toughness. They just specialize in different kinds of things. And also, a lot of the Primarchs have ascended into greater is it greater demons? They're demon Primarchs at this point. Gigantic, horrifying man-demon
Post-heresy.
hybrids that are pretty awesome, if I'm going to be honest. They
Oh
look
my
really,
gosh.
really cool. But them and their associated legions that they are a part of
Imagine those as kids. Oh my god.
are all kind of going out there and causing a large ruckus for everyone else. Considering the raw strength and firepower of a legion of Space Marines, imagine that entire legion just converting to chaos and immediately fighting you. It's generally pretty horrifying. There's a lot of them, so I gotta write them down. But you've got the Emperor's Children with Primarch Fulgrim, loyal to Slaanesh. These people, they
Whoa.
are some messed up people.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
just sensory overload, tons
Oh yeah, if they're loyal to Slaanesh, you know.
drugs, tons of torture, and I think Fulgrim is a
Yikes.
demon Primarch right now, and oh god, I am terrified to see what that man looks like, at least on the tabletop, because the Emperor's Children are not good people. You've got the Iron Warriors, which are kind of like opposite of the Imperial Fists, with Primarch Perturabo, I believe is his name. They're Chaos Undivided. They just kind of serve Chaos in a general aspect instead of choosing one of the 4. But the Iron Warriors are big on the siege and fortification, and they're basically entirely against the Imperial Fists and are a major rival.
They look
Perturabo, I believe,
scary.
is also still alive, and I'm also very interested to see what he looks like, because Demon Primarchs are badass. You've got the Night Lords with Primarch Conrad Kurz. Conrad Kurz is dead, which is good because he's a sick fuck. But the Night Lords are generally
Human
about terrorizing people and terrorism. They're generally about fear, and rightly so. You've got the World Eaters with Primarch Angron, still alive, also excited to see. Angron, if you think you've known an angry person, Angron is the angriest son of a bitch you will ever know.
Oh, that's Angron.
Removed parts of his brain that didn't make him angry, so he could be angrier. Angron, fucker's mad. You've
I mean, he lives up to his name, you know?
got the Death Guard with Primarch Mortarion. They actually have their own special codex and their own major army on the tabletop. Mortarion himself is actually one of the models, and look at him. Look at him. It's so cool looking.
Dude, wait, that's the model? That's not a picture? That's a built and painted model? Wow. Oh my gosh. I thought it was I thought it was like an illustration. That looks insane.
Of course, Nurgle based, obviously. So very slow, but very tanky. You've got the Word Bearers with Primarch Lorgar. Lorgar is
Oh, Angron was a slave as a child. The brain surgery was forced on him. He didn't choose it. Oh. Yeah, the flesh wings look insane. Yeah, with the eyeballs.
I believe still alive. I don't know what's up with him at the current moment, but the word bearers are generally the people who caused all the major problems in the beginning. At least I blame them for it. They're little assholes. You got the Black Legion with Primarch Horus.
Ooh.
Get fucked, nerd. You've got the Alpha Legion with Primarch Alfarius Omegon.
Wait, I like their color scheme a lot. They look kind of like they've got the fish scales. They look like underwater sort of, thematic, mermaid thematic. I don't know. Kind of like that. The fish look.
I think. And then finally, you've got the Thousand Sons with Primarch Magnus the Nerd. The Thousand Sons also have their own book, just like the Death Guard. Magnus is also a tabletop model. He looks super cool, as you can tell. And they're all super heavily Psyker and kind of Egyptian themed. They look pretty neat.
Oh,
but
yeah, I
overall,
see it.
With all of these Chaos Space Marine factions, you can play as a lot of different ones, but the main ones that you can really work at are standard Space Marines, Chaos Space Marines, as well as the Death Guard and Thousand Sons, as they are the most fleshed out, especially on the tabletop at least. See this right here? This is a really good way to describe the Chaos Space Marines. What the thick-headed fools with their broken corpse of an emperor fail to understand is that not only can they never defeat us, but they cannot hide or flee or shield themselves from the triumph of chaos. They are finite and we are unbound, undivided. They must not err, or they shall fall to heresy.
Heresy! Cyan and purple is a great color scheme. I agree. Funny thing, we don't actually know whose side the Alpha Legion is on. Oh, is that why he paused and he was like, chaos? I see now.
All who fall join our cause. Every imperial fool who dares to open his eyes is a willing recruit. They strive merely to hold back our fury and might, and it consumes them. Thus, you can see chaos is inevitable.
Yeah,
we lurk not only beyond their grasp and at their gates, we lurk within the darkness of their souls, on the tip of their tongues, in their tortured dreams. We are them, but freed from the shackles of ignorance. We are them, grown strong, evolved. We are them, but so much more. As hardcore as that quote is, the saddest part is they're mostly right. Chaos is basically unkillable. You could probably get rid of Space Marines a decent amount, the Chaos Space Marines that is, but every soul that dies goes to the warp. Every Chaos soul will end up back in the warp. And depending on how hard you killed them, they will come back at some point. Every demon you banish will return at some point. Chaos is unstoppable. The warp is
so oh my gosh, here comes the power levels into play again. So would chaos just be winning the whole time then? I don't know if there's winning or losing in Warhammer, but they're all at war, right? And I don't know, it just sounds like it just sounds like chaos would win. Could Kirby beat chaos? I don't know. Maybe Kirby would have to swallow chaos. When you slay a demon, it gets sent back to the warp, which doesn't have any doors back into reality. Oh. Maybe if you kill the chaos gods, it would end. Huh. Chaos often fights itself, so it keeps itself down to defeatable level. Oh. This is so much going on. Yes and no. The warp is kind of a reflection of the real world, so if everything dies, there won't be a war.
Is unending. And while maybe there is at some point some way to stop them somehow, the resources to do so, the requirements to do so, are so far beyond the reaches of man and the other races at the current moment that really it's just an unstoppable force that just keeps on coming and is just barely being slowed. Chaos is by far the biggest threat. They are
chaos.
without number. Their legions
are
everywhere, and yeah, they're pretty scary. So, I promise, we're done with humans now. Let's talk about some Xenos.
Alright! Are those the aliens?
So let's talk about the
alien-looking
Eldar,
guys?
also known as the Aeldari, which are a super hyper-specialized and very technologically advanced race of, well, elf people. They were, as well, responsible...
Oh, space elves! Oh, this is my army? Nice! Yeah, there's a lot of info to absorb, so take your time with it. Thank you. Yeah, I'm just trying to keep up. Yes, the knife ears. Yeah, frick them humans. I want to see the space elves.
For the creation of Slaanesh, the newest
Slaanesh.
demon god. How'd they do that? Debauchery on a world-ending scale. See, back in the day, it was just Khorne, Tzeentch, and Nurgle. And the Eldar are very, very ancient, millions of years. These Eldar, however, have a bit of a sensory problem. You know, every kind of pain or feeling that you have is a little bit amplified compared to the normal. However, with Eldar, as their race advanced so excessively, and they became so self-reliant, and everything became so easy, there was no requirement for food production anymore. There was no shortages. Everything was basically done. Everyone was so comfortable.
Wow.
And that comfort breeded this weird sedation. And that sedation breeded the requirement for more and more debauchery.
Debauchery!
Debauchery!
SpongeBob!
When everything you have can be so easily acquired, you will end up down this road of pure debauchery. All of the senses the Eldar had that were so...
Sorry, I actually forgot what debauchery means. I'm gonna look it up real quick. Excessive indulgence in sensual pleasures. Oh, okay, gotcha. Debauchery!
Debauchery.
Thank you, Google.
Debauchery.
Debauchery. So I wasn't the only one. Yeah, I was like, guys, give me a second. I need to look up what this meant again. Yeah, sexy times. They had everything. So they needed more, you know? When you have everything, you need more. Interesting.
Powerful things like feeling, happiness, sadness, and just evil and good all needed to be satisfied and satiated. And the desire to satiate these senses grew more and more with worse and worse debauchery. It started off with things like sex and drugs becoming so much more rampant because these are the first things you generally turn to when requirements for living are so easily accessible. It would get to the point that made Sander Cohen in BioShock look sane. All right, this is the...
I don't even know who this guy is, but he doesn't look very sane. Emuri dayon! If you'd like to support me so I can continue to make videos like this, please hit that subscribe button. It's completely free. I'd appreciate it. Now back to the video. They had everything done, so they gooned too hard. They partied so hard, they birthed a god. Oh, whoops, sorry. I full screened that by accident. Okay.
Kind of debauchery it led to. It was constantly satisfying and satiating these sexual and sadistic or masochistic fantasies that only elevated and elevated. And this was species-wide. People started going down darker, more depraved, and more violent paths as time went on. However, some people didn't entirely take to that. Some of the Eldar were looking at this depraved species that they had become and said, no thanks for me, dog, I'm good. And they bailed. These are the Craftworld Eldar. They left on these giant continent-sized starships called Craftworlds. They believed in learning the old ways of the
So they like kind of branched off. Gotcha.
Eldar and pushing away from this depravity and debauchery and going back to their main roots. And so they would segment themselves on these giant craft worlds far in the outer reaches of space. They even had this thing called the Webway. Remember what we mentioned about warp travel with the Imperium? Well, the Eldar had something way safer called a Webway.
Okay.
The Eldar Webway is actually like a pocket dimension kind of thing. And in that pocket dimension, there were also more horrible, depraved groups and clans that would spend their time in there. And if you imagine the debauchery was bad already, these were debauchery X10. So
everyone's miserable. Are these still your people, Emuri? What do you mean, are these still your people? I don't recall going like, these are my people. Who are you talking about?
All of this continued, and it continued, and it bloated until Slaanesh just burst forth. All that emotion,
they birthed
all
the
that
god.
mental, thought processes, I suppose. All of this in such a condensed space. Don't forget, this is all being shot. All their souls as well
her.
Into the warp.
Birth him. Birth
all
them.
of this depravity right into the warp. So what happened? Boom. Slaanesh was birthed and killed off 90% of the entire Eldar population.
Killed them? Oh, well, whoopsie.
Untold trillions had their souls ripped from their bodies and their actual fleshy bodies devoured by Slaanesh demons. The entirety of the Eldar race was eaten alive and their souls consumed to the Prince of Pleasure. All of them.
That's so gruesome. The Prince of Pleasure consumes all. Oh, immediately absorbed their souls. Yeah, it must have happened so fast. They birthed the god and then they're like, oh, my souls. Oh. I mean, you do things, you birth the god and then they take your soul. Yeah, checks out. Yeah, it just popped into existence and was hungry. Yeah. Yeah, they gooned so hard they made the god of excess and gooning. Wow. And I guess they got punished for their goon? Question mark?
Got fucked up. It was so bad that it literally ripped a warp hole into the fabric of the materium called the Eye of Terror. That's literally this like quasi horrifying gateway portal from the materium and the immaterium right next to Cadia. And it is horrifying.
Rip Cadia.
So this Slaanesh, also known as She
Rip
Who
Cadia.
Thirsts by the Eldar,
Horny on
slaughtered
me.
the entire population except for a couple. Those in the craft worlds were actually not affected by this as they were so far in the reaches of the galaxy. That crazy crack, that birth of Slaanesh only affected the ones in the center.
They got out. They're like, when they were like, okay, we're getting out of here. Like, yo, they saw the bad stuff coming. They're like, we're gonna leave before things get worse. They avoided it.
So these Craftworld Eldar were able to escape, but Slaanesh got their sights on them. Every time an Eldar will
Slaanesh is coming
their
after
soul
them.
doesn't just pass into the warp naturally. It goes straight to Slaanesh, Craftworld or not. What about those people in the webway? Well, imagine that giant birth happening, but they were only able to just barely get a grasp onto you. Slaanesh was just barely able to hold on. These people are the Dark Eldar, or also known as the Drukhari. The Eldar population right now is so massively small. It is minuscule compared to any of the other most of the other populations in the universe. The Eldar are consistently having issues trying to get their population up because as their souls are constantly being hungered from Slaanesh, they realize their entire species is doomed.
Oh no.
And they understand it very well. Since the time of the fall, our race has been haunted by what we, in our reckless pursuit of hedonistic indulgence, gave birth to. Though our dreams once overturned worlds and quenched suns, we are now but fitful shadows clinging to the edge of existence.
Well, what are they gonna do? Yeah, I wonder if they have like a way of solving this. Regular Elder after making Slaanesh. Shit, we better change our ways. Dark Elder, what if we keep going and just hide in the webway? They don't? Oh, so they're actually just doomed. That's kind of depressing.
All the stars in the sky cannot blot out the hateful glare of the red moon's eye. The birthing place of the great enemy pulses with all the malice of a demon that is dreaming, casting its shadow over all we have ever done and all we ever shall. Every twisted strand of fate and casting of the runes leads me to this time, to this place, and it is clear that the final battle awaits me at the ancient Crone worlds, a conflict the likes of which has not been seen since the Monkai warred amongst themselves and their corpse of a seer fell to his traitorous son, is coming, and all my steps lead towards it, no matter that I walk other paths.
Remember, this is 40k. There are no good endings. True. Yeah, I gotta remember. Everything is just doom and gloom. Oh, Monkai is what the Elder call humans. Oh! It's like monkey. I was about to read it as monkey until he said Monkai, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll remember it. Yeah, I'll remember it from monkey. Yeah. Humans and monkey, same thing, right?
I see the stars stained red with
Yeah,
the
we're
blood of the
monkey.
Monkai, and though their wars do not concern me, I would gladly let them destroy one another. I know that to avoid this fight is to condemn my race to inevitable doom, and though all I see is darkness, I know that I will not flinch from my
Wow.
destiny.
They're
And now let's
hopeful.
talk about cute plastic
Well,
models.
not hopeful,
Bro,
but
I'm straight up not having a good time.
accepting.
The first playable race we have for the Eldar are the Craftworld Eldar and living in those Craftworld starships I mentioned earlier. And each of them have their own kind of Craftworld, almost
Wait.
like a Space Marine Legion. Each
This Metroid Prime OST literally has Craftworld in the title. Cool.
Craftworld is in itself its own special kind of group. And the Eldar themselves are very fast and rely a lot on trickery. They are squishy, a bit weak, but they're very in tune as psychers. Tons of psychers across the entire Eldar population, and their weaponry and abilities are fast and extremely hard hitting, but of course rather
Ooh.
fragile. Understand
Oh, fast and hard hitting. So that if they're fragile, that means you just need to have more of them. Yeah. Isn't this all supposed to be comedically depressing? Like, it's so over the top messed up thing that it's kind of ridiculous. Yeah, I think so. Oh, elders have a thing called soul stones that they carry that will absorb their souls if they die, but it's basically a band-aid on a gaping wound. Oh. Yeah, anything they do, they would just wither away in the end. Yeah. Reckless gooning gets reckless eldritch god bursts. Who knew you could get punished for gooning? Actual glass cannons. Glass cannons are pretty nice. You just need to make sure, you either A, have a lot of them, or B, have something to protect them, Usually something to protect them would work better. But yeah, the biggest bonk ever.
Understanding an Eldar's brain is an exercise in futility. They are all over the place in confusion and trickery on a whole galactic scale. They fight weird, they think weirder, and Eldar, in their own right, really rely on this to keep their species alive. They need to think about deception and the strangeness of what they do if they truly want to not be immediately murdered and slaughtered wholesale thanks to their entirely small population. However, I must say that it seems like their population is getting slightly better. These craft worlds hold millions upon millions of people. And as
That
these
looks crazy.
continually, reproduce and have their craft worlds expand,
Ooh, the
losing a few people
wings.
in battle, while hurts a lot, they aren't really losing what's extremely precious to them. It's not like every single death means the death of their species. It seems like they're kind of on the upturn a little bit. They're still a doomed race being sucked into Slaanesh every time someone dies, but they are definitely doing a little bit better than they were before. Eldar
Slaanesh sucks all. Doesn't matter that it's glass so long as the thing shot doesn't move afterwards. Oh.
are fast, cunning, and what they don't make up for in tankiness, they make up for in extremely advanced weaponry. They also call humans Monkai,
The
which is something I
great
mentioned
suck.
earlier.
Monkai!
That is a derogatory slur for
Oh.
humans in the Warhammer world. Why is it called Monkai? Well, it's because you can't,
no.
in your game, call people monkeys. On the tabletop, exactly what I said. Not very
Yep.
tanky, generally pretty squishy, hit like trucks.
Can't believe I
and
said a
move at
slur
Mach
by
5.
accident.
Fast,
Whoops.
hit hard, die fast. Exactly how it sounds. They've been good for a very long time, too. We bring only death and leave only carry on.
Apology video time. No! Hello, Daka. Welcome. It's against the rules to call each other monkeys. Oh! Yeah, I was like, is that like a gamer thing? Okay, like literally in Warhammer 40K, it's against the rules to call each other monkeys. Okay, gotcha. Wow, okay. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, I gotta make sure not to call anyone that. Can't believe Hiragi Emuri of Glitch Stars would do this.
It is a message even a human can understand.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Eldar.
Hilarious.
So, Drukhari. Let's talk about the Dark Eldar.
Good rule.
On today's episode of How Fucked Up
Lore
Is Fucked
accurate
Up.
rule.
That's fucked up.
So those people I mentioned
Drukhari.
in the webway, in the super deranged cults and the depraved people of the Eldar, in the webway, they didn't quite get a hold
The
onto
Drew
them.
Carey.
So that like has them, but it has them on like by the pinky finger. And they're slowly being consumed by Slaanesh, but they found out they can stave her off.
Oh, wow.
by doing Slaanesh things. The Dark Eldar
Oh.
are by far the worst,
Goon.
most horrifying,
Maybe?
disgusting, depraved, and brutal race in all of Warhammer 40k.
More goony?
These are entirely a group of people whose full purpose to save their species from extinction, to go into planets, raid them, and take as many slaves as they possibly can to torture them for 1, 5, 10, 20, a million years.
That sounds absolutely wonderful. These guys were my introduction to 40k. That's wild. What a wild place to start.
Because that torture will keep them from dying. They look very BDSM
Wow.
style too. They definitely have a lot more spiky bits, and they have a lot.
I think I would rather die. But I guess if I could just die, then there'd be no point to torture, right? Yep, gooning keeps the goon god from eating your soul. Who'd have thought the goon god would want more gooning? It all makes sense. By absorbing the pain and suffering of others, Drukhari replenish the lost portion of their soul, pretty much feeding on pain to repel Slaanesh. Oh. Goon for the goon god.
More of that kind of leathery black look to them. But let's say you are an upstanding Imperial citizen, living life on a regular planet. You get invaded by the Necrons. The Necrons will shoot you with a deatomizer, and you will be destroyed in a millisecond, and that's it. Not the worst way to go. You are invaded by Chaos Marines or something. You take a bolter shot to the head or a chain sword across your stomach, and you get cut in half. Painful, but not the worst. The Orks arrive. They beat you to death. Hurts, but, you know, whatever. Tyranids, they eat you alive. It's pretty rough.
Vor?
The Dark
Tyranids
Eldar.
of Vor?
The Dark Eldar. This is going to get a little
Whoa, Berkey.
You pray
Those
you die.
legs.
You don't. You are instead taken as a human slave. Your life will be endless work and agony, 24/7.
Oh, no.
They will make sure you can't not die, as your pain satisfies them.
Oh, my
they
God.
will hook you up to all manner
They're terrible.
of torture devices. They will inject pain-based stimuli drugs directly into your nervous system. They will slowly run razor blades across your skin.
Jesus, I hope, no one would want to get caught by these guys. They want you to live as long as possible. Wow, how nice of them. The Dark Eldar are the special kind of evil. That sounds like true evil, like the torture part. You know, they don't even end you right there. They prolong you just to make you suffer.
They will fillet you and just pull out your teeth and your fingernails one by one. They will remove your appendages and your skin and wait for it to grow back so they can do it again. They will murder and torture and use the R word. It rhymes with grape. Your entire family in front of you and do the exact same thing to them. You yourself will also be rhymes with grape anywhere and everywhere possible. And this will occur for 20 years until you are no longer satisfying to them. And then you will be contorted, crushed, and twisted into some form of trophy. A fleshy trophy, or a ring, or a couch, or a TV stand, or perhaps a wonderful hat, while you are, of course, still alive and breathing. And you will become a moaning, fleshy trophy for eternity. And
wow, that sure is special. Yeah. Yeah. Wowee. They just turn you into furniture and accessories. This is I don't know. I don't know why I was suddenly reminded of Made in Abyss, but it's Jesus. Yeah, not the worst way to go. I don't know about that one. Is there any worse way to go? I mean, you're not even dead at this point. They keep you alive just as and as accessory. Yeah, how could it be worse? Yeah, how could it be worse? Maybe we don't want to know. We don't want to know how worse it can get. There's a game called Rogue Trader where an elder soul was trapped inside a chess set by a Drukhari. It was still fully conscious and eternally in pain. Gee, what? A chess set? They can turn you into anything. Anything. Oh, wait. Maybe there's no Moody streams. Yeah, I have no mouth and I must scream. Yeah. This is not worse, but about as bad. Oh! You say AM from I have no mouth and I must scream is not worse, but about as bad. I haven't played that game. I know a bit about it, but yeah. The title is already like quite, it speaks for itself.
Is what happens when you are taken by the Dark Eldar. They are the most depraved, most horrifying race in all of 40k.
Yeah.
Work apart, and they do it so they all don't die. They are literally forced to do this, because if they don't, Slaanesh's grip will get harder, and they will have their souls pulled away. So long as they
gotta
keep
do
doing
it
this,
for their
Slaanesh
god.
is like, you're doing good, man. You're doing solid. You keep that shit up, you elf-eared bastards. That's the Dark Eldar. That's the Drukhari. They are.
Slaanesh is terrifying. Well, yeah, I guess anything to keep your god happy, right? You don't want to get on your god's bad side. Gotta be stay freaky.
On Tabletop, they're actually kind of like Eldar, but more extreme. They are even squishier than the Eldar, but they hit generally even harder. Fast attacks, skirmishers,
that kid looks so good.
really quick, speedy, like get around them, do a lot of damage, get away kind of stuff. That's most of the Dark Eldar. Look up the definition of grim dark in a dictionary. You'll find a picture of the Dark Eldar and Sev from Public Commando. A quote from Mr. Vecht. We are the lords of despair, masters of terror. Dread and agony are our meat and wine, and they are plentiful indeed.
Plentiful.
Dark Eldar. Let's talk about the Harlequins.
Harlequins.
What's the matter, Andy? Don't you wanna have some fun?
Oh my
The
god.
Harlequins are
They look kind of like circusy. Yeah. Festive. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. My favorite boys, yeah. They actually hate Slaanesh as much as the Craftworld Elder and work with them a bunch of times. Oh, okay. Drukhari playstyle is generally either you win in the first turn or you lose. I don't know like how like the actual game works yet. Yeah, this is just the lore, but interesting. They're just silly little guys.
a bizarre race of Eldar. They're demonic clown performers.
Yeah,
they're like
clown,
a weird
like,
mix of
jester.
Sander Cohen from BioShock and Jin from League of Legends, but in a more clown theme. They're artists of death and perfecters of their craft. They do not belong to Craftworlds or any of the weird Drukhari people. They guard something called the Black Library,
It's time
which is
to
this
clown.
giant tome of never-ending knowledge deep in the heart of the Eldar webway, and also guarded by their god named Kegorok, I believe is how you pronounce his name. He is the laughing god, but it's the
Looks
Eldar
scary.
laughing god? And these are the Harlequins, the Harlequin clowns. These are Eldar clowns.
They're space elf pirate ninja clowns. Wowee. Yeah, they do sound like just, silly guys.
Okay, so imagine the things that an Eldar...
Wait. I need to bring out my clown nose for this one. Yeah.
these depraved individuals would find funny. And this is the god of that. It's a horror clown. These are gods of horror
honk.
for us normal people. For them, they're like, oh, it's so funny. They're all dying horribly.
I mean, clowns are pretty scary,
They're
right?
very bizarre and difficult to describe. They've escaped the ruinous powers of Slaanesh somehow, but their main thing is guarding that black library. And the Harlequins just... They're demon clown performers. They're barely any models on the tabletop.
I don't know. I think they look pretty scary. Probably just because of the clown aspect that I don't like clowns. Pennywise the dancing clown. What about that clown girl from Ace Attorney? Bro! She was getting memed on, right? I don't even remember why. Maybe I don't want to know. I have a big fear of clowns. Yeah, clowns are just so unsettling, right? Oh, yeah, you definitely don't want to see these guys in a dark alley.
They're good in melee. They're
Murderous
demon
tomfoolery.
clowns. I'm not sure. I got a quote. It is too easy for an Eldar to embrace the obscene virtues of chaos, for Slaanesh is nothing more than a manifestation of the Eldar mind in its most wild and unconstrained form. Human morality is meaningless to the Eldar, and to the dark side of the Eldar mind, all life is to be expended at a whim. Cruelty and generosity are but the impulse of a moment. Beauty and sensuality are virtues that can be expressed in bloodshed just as easily as in song. To an unfettered Eldar mind, there is neither sanity nor madness, but merely a wave of perfect existence fulfilled by its own savage momentum.
All
They're
right.
very strange.
Yeah.
Harlequins, Drukhari, Eldar.
I don't know if that was supposed to like sound enlightening or something.
They are an anomaly that make humans seem completely easy to understand in comparison. They range from rekindling their civilization to horrifying murder and also clowns. They're all over the place,
I
but
hate
honestly,
clowns.
they represent quite well and are rather interesting, especially with the whole Slaanesh murdering everyone bit. So, yeah, Eldar. Now, bugs.
Oh
me, Ma. They following me.
no, not the bugs! Okay, let me get rid of my clown nose. No. Okay, you know what? Okay. The guy on here right now, he doesn't look too bug-like. Like I can see the resemblance, but like it's not like activating my. Like he looks freaky. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like making me like really freak out, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. So this is still okay. This is still in the realm of it's okay for me. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, they're just a little hungry. Oh my gosh. I would never want to encounter one. Getting bored by, bug monster is the last thing I'd ever want. Yeah, they look kind of more monster-like than bugs. But anyway, let's see. Tyranids.
These the bugs.
The Tyranids.
Bugs.
Now, you want to talk something a lot more fun, a little more simple than all this crazy Eldar shenanigans? Let's talk the Tyranids. They're bugs. Do they look like Zerg? Hell yeah, they look like Zerg. You want to know why they look like Zerg? Because they were actually supposed to be what Zerg were. Apparently StarCraft was supposed to be a 40k game in the beginning, hence why they look so much like Eldar, Zerg, and the Imperium of Man. Like, kind of Space Marine-y, those Marines, huh?
Yeah.
They look a little bit Space
I
Marine-y
see
to
it.
me. Maybe. I don't know. You really fucked up
They
on
look
that
very
one,
similar.
Games Workshop, didn't ya? Tyranids are a giant infestation of unfathomable proportions. These are giant, extremely bio-advanced hive mind organisms.
Oh my gosh. Time to get the really big bug spray. Yeah, we need a faction that just like comes out with really big bug spray and sprays these guys. That probably wouldn't do anything, but
that are basically all about absorbing as much biomass as they possibly can to evolve and mutate to be extremely
that's the Necrons? Really?
potent and powerful and kill and eat anything in their path. They are probably the least evil faction in all of 40k because
Least evil? Okay. They did, and then the Tyranids grew immune to the poison. Oh my gosh. Of course they did. They're like roaches.
all they want to do is
evolved.
eat shit. They want to nom nom the
Oh my
entire
gosh, you just want to
galaxy.
eat.
They hangry and we food.
Hangry.
Also, this Tyranid hive mind has a presence in the warp. In fact, Tyranids in their own right have a massive presence in the warp. They have a thing called the shadow in the warp specifically, where when they are coming in to invade a planet, they have this weird ability to kind of cut off the warp on all the psychers on that.
What the heck? That looks freaky. Bug spray does exist in 40k. It's called the Holy Flamer and the Melt-A-Gun. Let's go, bug spray!
And how do you get help across the stars? Well, you need the warp, because you need that for interstellar
Ew.
travel. So, with people unable to call for help from the Tyranids, these are just easy pickings. And an entire giant Tyranid hive fleet comes out of orbit and just will massacre, absorbing all that biomass and turning them and all of their other Tyranids into even more advanced monsters. They come in so many varieties.
Oh my god, I hate
all
these.
Based on what is important.
I don't like
Tiny
them. They look gross.
forms for scouting and having little dudes eat people up, to the Hormigons, Termagants, and Genestealers, all the way to the Hive Guard and the Exocrines and the Swarm Lord, Hive Tyrants and their giant battle fleets, and even something as crazy as the Hierophant Bio-Titan.
Whoa.
The Tyranids come in all forms and sizes depending on what they require. They are extremely good at anti-biological weaponry. There is no way you can plague them or blight them.
You can't plague them. Emuri's allergic to gross things. Understandable. Yeah. Their adaptability is amazing, though. You could develop a deadly virus that kills them, and they adapt within 1 to 2 generations. Wow. Wow, yeah, they seem kind of unstoppable.
Extremely strong armor, carapaces and such. Tyranids are nigh perfect organisms and are pretty spooky when it comes down to how they handle all of their genetic material. Keep feeding them, they'll keep evolving. They keep on creating new horrifying organisms to spread across the galaxy. And you want to know what the most terrifying part of the Tyranids is? We might be surrounded. There have been like around 6 or 7 Tyranid hive fleets. Behemoth, Kronos, all these different kinds of hive fleets.
And they spawn fast. Oh, yeah, that I guess that like kind of like that fits their bug-like nature. Scary.
And they've all arrived in the galaxy from different points. Different sections of the Milky Way galaxy have had different Tyranids come through.
Oh.
And that is horrifying.
Wow.
Because as
That's
far
a
as
lot
we
of
know,
them.
we could just be surrounded on all sides by Tyranids. The only reason you may not
That's
hear a whole lot about Tyranids is because it's a little bit hard to have a bunch of story.
Mom, I'm scared. Space sounds scary. I don't want to go further into space. There's just more Tyranids everywhere waiting. The Tyranids came from another galaxy to the Milky Way. Join the 40k lore. It's interesting. Yeah. Hello. Nah, space is awesome. No, I'm scared. Horrors beyond our comprehension. Yeah. Hello, Parito. Welcome. Irashai. Yeah, they in the goddamn walls. Tyranids are also a very recent addition to 40k lore rise. Oh, they are? Okay. Interesting.
Bugs swarming in, killing and eating everybody and evolving. Oh, I mean, as cool as there are some cool characters, the Swarm Lord, Old One Eye, you can't really have a whole bunch of major character-based stories around them. As awesome as they are, they're simple. They want to eat you.
Yeah.
They want to eat you and absorb your biomass. They
don't have much plot to them other than they're coming for you and they're gonna come to eat you. And there's also a lot of them, you know? Shoot them with lava. Don't ask how. Just do it. Oh, are they weak to lava? Well, I guess that would make sense since they're bugs. You know, they gotta melt, right? They had surely they can adapt to magma, right? Yeah.
simple bugs. If you want something a little more complex, talk Genestealer Cults.
I can have all the pot I want, I get around faster than walking, and wherever I need a seat, I can just sit on my balls.
Genestealer Cults are a special brand of Tyranid that can slowly infect themselves into different kinds of society.
What?
And by infecting
Wait,
them...
these guys are Tyranids? They look kind of like human-like. Well, I guess they're like, maybe they're like trying to be an imposter. Yeah, because he did say they like slowly kind of like infect themselves.
They can rise up to where they all pray and believe in these regular humans, pray and believe into their Tyranid hive mind gods. And these brood
the humans that got injected with Tyranid genes. Oh, it's kind of like parasites. Yeah, it's literally Among Us.
lords and I think they're called patriarchs all can turn an entire world all based into Genestealers, and these are called Genestealer Cults. An entire hive world of the Imperium can be turned into nothing but servants to the Tyranid masters just by infecting them and screwing with their genetic code a little bit. They also have this cool like Mad Max look, which is really neat. They are definitely one of the bigger threats to the Imperium besides Chaos. I keep saying biggest threat to the Imperium. They're up there though, because you, dingus, stepped on a bug in middle school.
The bugs are like, you'll regret this. The bugs 40,000 years later. A single Genestealer can take down an entire planet if left unchecked. What? The Tyranids need to feed on planets, and there's an Inquisitor who decided, let's try starving them, and decided to bomb and destroy like 5+ planets to try doing that. Bruh, did it work? It didn't work? No, not really. Damn. It just slows them down a bit. Wow, they just keep coming and they don't stop coming and they don't stop coming. Obviously it didn't. You can't stop them. They'll just find another way. Can't stop the infestation. Yeah, oh my gosh.
Asshole. There is a cancer eating at the Imperium. With each decade, it advances deeper, leaving drained, dead worlds in its wake.
Cancer.
This horror, this abomination, has thought and purpose that functions on an unimaginable galactic scale. And all we can do is to try to stop the swarms of bioengineer monsters it unleashes upon us by
so scary.
instinct. We have given the horror a name to salvage our fears. We call it the Tyranid race.
Oh.
But if it is aware of us, it must know us as nothing but prey. Tyranids.
That's
They're
ominous.
cool. But are they as cool as the orcs?
Oh!
Screens go
Orcs!
red. That means I'm super fast.
Orcs.
I think a lot of you guys like the orcs, right? Yeah, let's go, orcs!
Orcs, 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 orcs.
Orcs!
I fucking love orcs. So, yes, the green monsters, the green tide, the green skins.
I like green.
These orcs, they are in fact a race in 40k. The orcs are as exactly what you expect them. They have archaic weapons, they're big boys, they have axes, and they have got big old teeth,
Yeah,
and they want to kill
chunks.
everything, and there are so many of them. The only reason they haven't taken over the entire galaxy is they can't stop murdering each other. Orcs are so cool. Orcs don't have philosophy. Orcs don't have existential crisis. What matters is who's the biggest orc. You listen to that guy because he's the biggest orc.
Oh my
He's
god,
big-
they're just here to assert dominance, you know? Orcs are the only ones having a good time. Wow. They're kind of like the joke faction. Oh. Everyone else is for glory. These guys are for fun. Yeah, I see it now. They're just like trying to prove who's the biggest orc. Oh, the fun guys, the fungus. Orcs just wanna have fun. All right, let's find out about the orcs.
Big orc knows best. You win through the power of imagination. Of all the races I have battled throughout the galaxy, the orc is the hardest to comprehend. They wage war with machines that should not work, care little for strategic gains, and are just as likely to slaughter each other as the enemy. How does one battle an enemy that defies all
They're
logic?
so whack.
As an orc,
Okay, I like that. I like that though. Yeah, like they just hit unga bunga, you know?
you're enjoying life. You're enjoying the life you're given. Your whole life and job and purpose is to get up and beat each other to death because you
Yeah.
can. The biggest orc is the man who understands everything. He is the boss. And orcs have this really weird, like, big, dumb, stereotype British accent, which is just hilarious to me.
Thanks, UK. They believe red paint makes your cars faster. Painting red equals faster nods. Wait, isn't that proven though? In in Gundam by Mr. Char. For orcs it works. Their ships hold together only because they believe they're the coolest. They're Aussies actually.
Those are orcs. You fight. You like to fight. Your whole purpose is to fight. You wage war because you want to wage war. You got your boss over there, and you better listen to the boss, because if you don't listen to the boss will squish you and make you an example for the other orcs. And then you can't fight because orc dead. And orc dead can't fight because the orc dead. Orcs. They scrap together machines out of parts that don't make any sense.
That's
and
cool.
because they believe, they have the mental imagination that machine will run, it'll run. If that machine
Wow, they just make it happen. That's pretty cool. Oh, but for Char, everything he pilots just magically becomes faster. But also he paints it red, right? He paints it red. So therefore, painting it red must be part of the, part of what's helping. I don't know. The psychic power is too strong, Yeah, if you have, mental power goes a long way. Mm-hmm. Yeah, red comet logic. Oh, he painted it gold sometimes, really? Look, I haven't seen any UC. I was just like, I was just guessing based off like the little things I know.
out of gas, you're driving that machine with your fellow orcs, and the biggest orc is behind the wheel.
Yeah.
And you run out of gas, some orc behind you, like, oh, oh, Zog, we're out of gas.
Zog!
And the big orc is like, no, we're not. I filled the fucking gas tank up earlier. And all the other orcs are like, oh, yeah, you did do that. And then you turn the fucking mech back on, and it works again. Does
What?
it have
They have like plot armor with the power of imagination. Surely it can work.
gas? Probably not. But it works. The power of imagination. They
just
paint
have to
things red
believe.
because it makes them think they goes faster. They paint things purple because it's the sneakiest color. You want to know why? You ever seen a purple orc? Didn't fucking think so. Orcs are also
What?
like ancient as hell. They're back in the Eldari time frame. But back then they were called Orks, and they were much larger and scarier and far more intelligent. Now they're just orcs, and they're big, dumb, and they smack
Wow.
things.
Orc.
But they're
Hit hard.
pretty spooky.
Hit good.
They're not very well armored, but they hit really hard.
I like
and
hitting
it's
hard.
called the Green Tide because there are so many orcs. There are about as many orcs as there are Tyranids.
Ooh.
Maybe more.
Wait,
Who knows?
really?
But they keep on, murdering each other, so it's not too bad of an issue. Orcs are entirely comic relief. Their stuff is slapped together. That makes no sense. Their vehicles don't
So they are the fun guys. Okay.
work the way they're supposed to, but they work because they think it works, because they imagine that it works. Orcs care only about who is the biggest orc, and they will follow the biggest orc. And then if they want to be the biggest orc, they'll challenge the biggest orc. And then when they go and they issue a wa is just war in orc.
A wa.
They murder everybody and everything in this
Oh, wow, we're going to war. War never changes. Yeah, silly fun fungus folk.
giant tide of green orcs who are just excited to be hitting something. They don't care that they're hitting Eldar or the Imperium or Tau or anyone in between. They're just so they get to beat shit up. That's orcs. And
Haven't seen any female orcs. Oh, you're right. How do they reproduce? Oh, someone in YouTube chat answered. Orcs don't procreate to grow their population. They're a type of fungus that releases spores. Oh, they're literally fungus. Okay. Wow, that really sounds powerful, actually. Oh, okay. So that's how they keep multiplying. Oh.
on the tabletop, they are a total coin flip, and they're really fun.
Ooh,
I have never met
coin flip. Like unpredictability is fun, right?
a salty orc player. I have never met someone who plays orcs and is ever just a bad guy. Or
Yeah, they're not
that
sweaty.
Guy. Orc players have this kind of fun to them because when you play them, you are completely submitting yourself to RNG. So here's the thing.
Yeah, RNG. Let's go. Yeah, they're probably just like, yeah, whatever happens, you know?
Guardsmen, Imperial Guardsmen, when they shoot, they roll a dice, and on a 4-up, they'll hit their target. They have a 50% chance. Space Marines, pretty good. They hit on a 3 or higher because they're well trained. Adeptus Custodians, they hit on 2s because
Yeah.
they're super well trained.
Wow.
Orcs, they hit on a 5 or higher. But if
What?
they roll a 6, they get to make another shot.
Ooh.
With anything. From
Cool.
the dinkiest pistol to the biggest rocket launcher. It doesn't matter. Half of their stuff will blow up on a whim. One of their medics, if you roll a 1 to heal someone, you fuck up your surgery and you just kill an orc. They're so wacky and silly. But the thing is if you roll
Whoops.
well, you roll high, and you keep rolling high, you
Yeah,
are going
yeah.
to crush
Hit hard.
people. And if you don't, you lose.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you get when you play orcs. That's what happens when you play orc. It's a coin flip, which is why you can't be a salty bitch when you play orcs, because things won't go your way. It's
Yeah.
just the roll of the dice. You're playing a dice game. But if you're going to have fun and you want to be stupid and you want to be silly, you're going to play some damn orcs. But on the opposite side of the fun part of this, let's talk about the Necrons.
Oh, are they not fun? Opposite side of fun. Oh boy. Are Necrons for the sweaty players? Oh, they're probably more complicated. I don't know. Literal mushrooms correct. So every orc that gets killed just releases more spores, and you can never get rid of the orc infestation forever. Oh, you know, if I had to choose between orcs and Tyranids, I'd probably go orcs, just because I'm totally not biased towards, but I don't have a bug bias or anything. I don't hate bugs or anything. Yeah, Necrons, let's go. I hear this super sweaty. Their MTG deck is really strong. Ooh. Not the Doomers. Necrons, eternally downer, guys. Here we go.
The Necrons are spooky, scary skeletons and very grimdark
Spooky,
again.
scary
they have a much
skeletons.
more fleshed out lore than before. Back in the day, they were just undead Egyptian space terminators, and they still look that way, but now they actually have a story. So way back in the day, you had the Necron tier. Kind of see a theme here: Eldari, Eldar,
Yeah.
Ork, Necron tier. So the Necron tier were this race of generally kind of shitty people. Not because they were personally shitty, because their lives were awful. They were ill-fated to a horrible existence of like radiation and a terrible planet they lived on, and everything just really sucked. Being a Necron tier was just really depressing. They really were looking for immortality. They were extremely reliant on the hope that they would eventually find the key to living forever and just stave off this horrible nature that they were thrust upon them, and therefore they could become the most dominant race in the galaxy. And they found this group. They're called the Old Ones. Imagine them kind of like the Forerunners in Halo or the Xel'Naga in StarCraft, right?
Yeah.
These Old Ones were these strong, pretty much omnipotent beings, and they, of course, knew the key to immortality. So the Necrons went to them and said, please, show us your ways.
Yeah, give it to us.
And the Old Ones said, piss off. Not really. They were a lot more humble about it.
Yeah, they're like, yo, we're not just gonna give it to you. Yeah. Yeah, orcs can be reasoned with to a degree. Yeah. They're not just like, I guess, like, eat everything. I don't know. Like the Tyranids. OG Necron lore was meh, but the retcon lore, the one in this video and the timeline one, is much more in-depthy. What's the most intelligent faction? They'll be my favorite forever. Oh, I have no idea. Does anyone know? Shikadub, hello, welcome. Yeah, life's bad, life sucked, no wife, that's a Necron tier. Poor Necron tiers.
But they did not want to share their secret of immortality with the Necrons. The Necrons, of course, took this very well and waged war with them.
Yeah,
kind of under this united banner. The Necron different dynasties didn't really like each other, but under this one man, the Silent King, he thought the best way to unite his race was to do this giant war with the Old Ones as a spite for them keeping the secret of immortality to them. This was known as the War in Heaven, and this is actually a multi-stage war, because during this war in heaven, they discovered the Star Gods, a whole new race of people known as the Catan, or the Catan. These Star Gods were also very much like Old Ones, almost omnipotent beings, and they too had the key to immortality. And so the Necrons went to them and said, hey,
so broken.
Can you help us fight off the Old Ones? Can you help us kill these Old Ones, you, the Catan? And the Catan said yes. And in fact, we can help provide you with the immortality you so desperately seek.
Oh, wow.
So the Silent King of the Necrons decided to make a pact with the Catan to allow them to accept this generous gift of immortality upon them. But this, of course, had been a horrendous trap, and the Necrons were dragged in chains to this biotransference where their flesh was stripped from them, replaced with nothing but a metal hollow shell as their soul.
Wait, I was gonna say, like, is there a catch to this? Why did the Catan just, like, what are they getting out of this, right? The most logical decision, pick a fight with gods. I know, right? They got debated. Oh no, is this why they're miserable? Yeah, always has a catch. Oh boy.
Were ripped from their body and fed to the Catan. And the Catan fattened
Wait. Go back. Okay.
A metal hollow shell as their souls were ripped from their body and fed to the Catan. And the Catan fattened up. They got chonk on the souls of the Necrons. As this was their plan all along, they consumed the flesh and souls of the Necron tier and turned them all into unwilling robotic slaves just to serve their will. And then with their newfounded Necron army, they pointed their guns at the old ones, and the Catan continued their domination of the stars and their genocide, complete and full genocide of these old ones. The old ones did their best.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, this I guess this is what happens when you like, you know, yeah, when you ask for things and, you know, it comes at a price. Yeah, they pick a fight with the gods just because they said no. And they thought the gift of immortality would come for free. Yeah, like, who would have thought? I guess they're immortal now, yeah. The Necrons have a weapon that's literally a map of the Milky Way galaxy that they can interact with in real time, so they can tap on a random star in the galaxy and make it go supernova. What? That's insane. What? They could just do that to anything? Yeah, the Catan said, sure, we'll give you immortality. Eats their souls and makes them into robots. Yeah, they're technically immortal. Yeah. All right.
To stave it off, they even created other races, the Eldari and the Orks, to try to fight off the horrifying Necron army and the Catan above them. But there was absolutely no possible chance for them. And the old ones were absolutely extinguished across the galaxy. Their entire race completely removed. Full-on 100% genocide.
Wow.
However, during all this, the Catan, so just infatuated with their victory, started fighting each other for fun, for sport, and for small difference.
Dude, it's like in Warhammer. It's like, okay, you're bored, you know, you fight. Like, you need something to do, you fight. You know, you fight for everything you fight for. They're literally bored and they start fighting. It's crazy. Yeah, we won. Now we fight something else. Each other. Fight everybody.
Doesn't matter. The Catan, with these overpowered people, they're going to eventually hit each other at some point.
Yeah.
And as they began just menially fighting each other, the Aeldari and the Orks actually started pushing on the Catan's borders a little bit, giving them a little bit of a run for their money. And as this continued, this is when the Silent King, who retained his consciousness, decided to leap into action and start a full-scale revolt against their Catan masters. And this revolt was bloody, as the entire Necron army was surged off to destroy these star gods. They were able to, just after suffering horrendous losses, were able to turn the tide of the war. And they took these Catan and they blasted them. Because as these star gods are unkillable, they were able to break them into thousands of shards and entrap them in giant stasis vaults to now actually be slaves to the Necrons. And with the Necrons having the entirety of their old gods enslaved to them, they realized that soon their race was about to be attacked by the overcoming new races, the Aeldari and the Orks. And so what they did is they retreated into giant stasis tombs in order to preserve their energy and their strength for when one day they would be reawakened and they would be able to rule the galaxy that was rightfully theirs. And then some dingus Adeptus Mechanicus guy diddled with a green console, and now the Necrons are back and they see all these primitive races on their lawns and they think, get the fuck off of it. The Necrons
so
are
much
back,
war,
super advanced, and they are here to reclaim the galaxy that they so rightfully believe is theirs. Now, at Tabletop.
Oh, the stasis thing was very interesting. Oh, yeah. Yeah, catch the creator gods and Pokeballs to use in later battles. They put them in Pokeballs, true. Uno reverse slavery. You know, they're like, you did it to us, now you get it back. Yeah, they took back their control. Dude, the Necron lore is very interesting. Yeah, I was very immersed in that. What if they think of themselves as that strong? Why did they go and hide in tombs and wait for it to pass? I don't know. They're like, we gotta recharge a bit after fighting the Catan or whatever. Yeah, they're the old guys on the porch telling those damn kids to get off their property. Yeah, they wake up and they come out and they're like, what is going on?
Like that. Tons of undead Egyptian skeleton robots that when they die, they just get right back up because they keep on reanimating. Hard to kill. Tons of crazy stuff. You can use the Catan themselves as units.
Okay, that looks so cool. Oh my gosh.
To fight with. Pretty cool. The Necrons are one of the 3 major events in 40k. The Horus Heresy, the Fall of the Eldar, and the Awakening of the Necrons are all pretty substantial events.
Okay.
And the Necrons themselves are pretty dang cool as well. Here's a good quote from a wonderful Dawn of War game. Lucky creatures, as long last you have found the tranquility of death. I was like you once, clinging to life and blind to the truth. When I uncovered the truth, I too shuddered and paled with fear. Deep in these catacombs I was remade. Here my brethren slumbered for eons while the living grew like weed. My Lord knew this day would come. He had plans for us all. We would purge this world once more. So come, poor victims of life. We will grant you tranquility in these crypts. Kronos will be a tomb world once more. Necrons are also
That's
pretty
a cool
smug.
quote.
Trace in the Infinite especially. A little dickhead. But
This is
speaking
still
of
your girl.
dickheads, last race. Let's talk the Tau.
One more.
The exact formation of the Tau Empire is not
Whoa,
entirely
Bricky.
understood. However,
Berkey, what's going on with your lower half there?
for a long time
Ew, it's a space weaves. What? He becomes anime. Oh, so this is relevant. His attire is relevant.
time ago, many thousands of years ago, in the 40k world that is, some Imperial navigation vessels were going around through different areas, and they saw a primitive race, blue people, smacking each other with sticks and stuff. They thought, nah, dumb Xenos race, who gives a shit, and they bailed. Then this giant warp storm occurred right in that major area, unable to be breached. Then, once that warp storm 6,000 years later subsided, hello, those little sticks. Well, they decided to actually have no war of any kind and all just unite together under one flag of the Tau Empire. And now they have gigantic starships and Gundam robots and lasers and railguns and mechs, and they're here to ruin your day for the greater good. That is generally the Tau Empire. They have this kind of feeling of this homogenous group. All species can go underneath the banner of the greater good. The greater good is their idea of the fundamental increase and help of all. In fact, they are most likely the most like the Covenant in Halo, where they have the overarching prophets, being the ethereals, who are actually kind of dicks and like to.
I haven't played Halo, but the actual Gundam faction. Oh, these are the guys, huh? Oh, Tau makes mechs that doesn't involve suffering. Yeah. The space anime faction. Oh.
It strings a little bit, but then you have all these different races directly underneath them, and they.
Is there more to them, more to the weeb jokes, or is it just because they have like Gundams that there's weeb jokes? I don't know. I need to watch.
all work together in this big group as this large, foreboding race that tries to spread their weirdly pseudo-religious influence across the galaxy.
He'll talk about it in a bit.
The alien is not intrinsically evil. Do not hate him. Pity him, his ignorance. Seek to understand his differences and equate him with his inadequacies. Only then will he accept his place in the greater good. That is generally the Tau. And if you're kind of wondering like what their mainly big shtick is, well, they're all about big robots and mechs. They have laser rifles and rail guns. They got giant mechs.
Yeah, look at those. The mechs look very anime compared to other factions. True. Yeah. Gundams, basically. They have Gundams and only use war to protect their race, and you can join them if you want to. Oh, okay. Friendship is power, yeah. Oh, their society is loosely based on Japan, and they use Japanese-like language. Oh my gosh. All right, yeah. There you go. No wonder there's weeb jokes. You'll talk about it in a bit. Okay.
Tons of missile pods and heavy rail rifles and rail guns and burst cannons and ion accelerators and void shields and all this stuff. And that is generally what the Tau's all about. But you're probably thinking, but Bricky, this doesn't sound that evil.
Yeah.
This doesn't sound
Why
very
is it evil?
grim, dark Warhammer. And you'd be right. The Tau Empire really don't have that much of a horrifying, grim, dark style like everybody else. They're much more younger, new age thing. In fact, they're probably a lot less evil and a lot even better than they are now back in the day because they liked having like that good guy faction. But a lot of us who really like the dark, depressing style of Warhammer didn't really like it that much. So, see, the Tau get a lot of hate, and a lot of that hate.
Wow, they really do look like anime mechy here. Yeah, I definitely do see it now. Now that, like, you know, you've got all of them on the screen here.
It isn't necessarily unjustified. It's mainly from a tabletop perspective.
They're
but
also very bright. They're like ultra light mode. Yeah.
as you can see from all the visuals I've shown you recently, they don't really fit in the 40K universe very well. They lack that super dark, dramatic, kind of high gothic level the Imperium has.
Yeah.
They don't have the weird kind of like grungy stuff that Chaos
They look a
and
little
Orks
out of
do.
place.
And the Necrons and the Eldar have their own specific style
Now
as well.
it's mentioned.
The Tau really do look like something out of Gundam. And while it isn't necessarily a bad thing, it does definitely not fit too well. There's that. There's also the tabletop problem. In tabletop, Tau are horrible at melee combat, but exceptional.
Wait, go back. I need to see that
In
meme.
tabletop, Tau are horrible.
Slaps Tau. See, it's easy.
At melee combat, but exceptionally good at range combat. So they blast everyone from really, really far away, and they have a
Lasers.
million rules to make it so that it's nearly impossible for you to get into melee combat.
Oof.
So it basically just forces you to bottleneck the game into one specific gameplay style, which is gun to gun. And if you're doing gun to gun, they're going to win every time because they're the Tau, and the Tau are really damn good at shooting. So it's one of those things that make the Tau generally rather hated, and a lot of different reasons for that, both from style and such. But this is actually one of the things I wanted to end this video with, is that the Tau, while they have their issues, you should not be discouraged from playing them. I'll make plenty of Tau weeaboo jokes, of course I will, but it's all generally in good fun. Anyone who legitimately doesn't want you to play a faction is an idiot, and you shouldn't be giving them the time of day.
To be fair, this video is 4 years ago, true, and more books and lore have been released about the Tau showing more evil stuff. Oh, okay, so there's been new stuff since. Oh, gotcha. Oh, they're super glass cannony, but they excel at range. They're a relatively young race lore-wise. They kind of look that way too. Yeah. Funny Bricky making weeb jokes and now he's part of Weaver. Yeah, I saw him insert those anime references earlier in the videos.
Pick what you think is cool and what you
Yeah.
In Warhammer, especially now,
That's
factions
important.
get better and they get worse. They grow and then they fall. You should only be playing what you think is cool. You like the look, you like the models. If you're talking tabletop, that is what you should be going for every time, is what you think is badass, because things change all the time. But the universe of Warhammer has so much going for it. Every faction has something interesting, every character has a story, and there's a million stories to be told. The universe is vast and exciting, and while it is dark, depressing, and horrible, that is the damn charm. And out of everything I've told you in these two videos, is anything you could take away is the reason why so many of us are so into this series and why we like it so much. Because with so much variety, such an expansive universe, and so much that can be done, you can find yourself having a pretty great time. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it has been informative to you. If you'd like to see more of me, Bricky, you have twitch.tv/Bricky for my streams. You have my merchandise site, in which I was wearing all of my merch, but underneath this, because
Yeah, I was like,
had
where
to
is
wear
it?
this so it wasn't black or white for the green screen, which is a little unfortunate, but it's fine. If you'd like to see merch, it is in the description. Also, if you'd like to support me on my Patreon page at patreon.com/Bricky for more videos like this, then that would also be wonderful.
Bricky.
So Twitch, merch, Patreon. Anything if you want to support, that would be fantastic. I'd appreciate it. If not,
I like this music.
I'm stoked you got all the way to the end of the video, and that is enough for me.
Yay, I did it!
I'm going to be having some more content like this out in the future. Thank you so much for sticking around this long and being with me through this pretty rough time. That's, I think, all I got. Also, before I go, let me leave you with my favorite Warhammer quote.
Ooh.
He who scoffs at the power of the las gun has never ran through a field of 1,000 of them. Bye-bye.
The last gun. That was at the beginning of part 1. Alright. We made it, boys! We made it through part 1 and part 2. I believe the newest race are the space dwarves, as they're not mentioned in this video. Oh wait, I've heard of the space dwarves before. Someone mentioned them. Oh, they're not in the... Oh yeah, you're right. They were in the video. Okay, let me look it up. Space dwarves, 40k. They sound like something I like. I like dwarves. Wait, they look fun. Wait, I love the space dwarves. I already love how they look. I like the little men with the beards. Oh man, I want to know their lore too. Yeah, I'm interested in the space dwarves. I like who likes dwarves? I like dwarves. Yeah. Yeah, it's sounding very fantasy. They look very fantasy. Oh. Yeah, they added dwarves, I guess. Watch a timeline of 40k lore video next. Yeah, I guess that would be the next one. Maybe for another stream. Yeah. Bricky does have stream on it. Not stream, video. Yeah, thank you, Bricky. Thank you for explaining, Bricky.